the old YouTube and Instagram. Uh-oh. Oh, nope. Oh. There we go. All right. Instagram is live now, and YouTube is live now. So we are live officially, Jake. Good
We're
morning.
YouTubing.
We are YouTubing. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to all of our viewers. This is Making Turbo Pit Fighter. We are two guys and we're drawing and inking simultaneously in split screen, as you can see in front of your eyes. The topic here is a sci-fi comic book called Turbo Pit Fighter, and I'm Jake, and I'm here with Kurt as usual. We've been battling some diseases lately, some flu and other things, but we're back and I'm on the comeback trail, but I'm ready with my cough button if I need it.
Me too.
Yeah, and we're I haven't worked on this page in got to be 3 weeks, 2 3 weeks. So it's good to get back to this page. I'm working on page number 22 of Turbo Pit Fighter number 2, and I'm down here at the end of this scene where there was a firefight in the rectory, and the Sister Ray, the head nun of the orphanage, is about to blow the place sky high. We're just moments away from that. That's going to be the next page, which is going to be very, very cool to unfold, because she's going to be saying this, stuff like the time is nigh. And let me see what else. We built. She's going to say stuff like, "We built this place. Now we will take. Now we should all take wing off to Valhalla." I don't know, something like that. I gotta work on the dialogue a little. I have it on a rough pad, but I'm just gonna try and um, do regular pencil here on these two blue line panels. This is where Turbo kicks out the window, as you can see here. I'll try to hold it up close. Turbo is dispatched. He says, "Take these peas." Sharon is waiting by the catapult. She kicks out the window. Her mission is that she's going to go find this character named Elavena. And she's got to deliver the weapon or the package to Elavena. And she's going to sacrifice the orphanage so it isn't taken over by the RM fighters. And then Turbo's going to go up these stairs and then get on a catapult. So here, this is going to be kind of like a dramatic close-up of Sister Ray. So that's what I'm working on. Kurt, you're not working on Turbo Pit Fighter number 1. You're working on Chromita 2-pager.
I'm just finishing this 80% ink on page 1 of that. I'll be heading over to page 2 in a couple minutes. So yeah, I'm rocking it out.
Yeah, so that's going to be a cool little detour, but we made a 2-pager to promote some of the other characters in the timeline, Chromita the She-Bot being one of them. And by the time he's done with that 2-pager, you're going to see a nice little spread of Hellclaw and Esoterra and Chromita. Those are going to be the 3 characters that comprise the casualties. And they're going to be a super squadron of characters that rescue glowers from the clutches of the
Mayhem.
the clutches of mayhem. Well, there's going to be the marauders, which are going to be the husband and wife bad guys that kidnap a lot of kids and turn them into broodmares. I don't know, is that too controversial for today?
We'll find out.
And then there's right, and then there's also there's always the Dehubertons. So I have been writing this whole backstory, and it's getting kind of interesting. So, Kurt, you said that we need some more content for the Substack. Um,
Oui, monsieur.
Ask and you shall receive. So,
What?
if you go to hellclaw.com/qdruids, You will
All
see
right.
so much stuff there. But just make sure not to take it until the last minute because it could be updated anytime. You never know if I'm writing stuff and inserting stuff.
Oh wow, this is great, Jake.
So, yeah, if you want to get into this, that'll be our newest segment. Who are the Q Druids, you ask?
Oh, that's exactly what my question was, sir.
Well, Esoter's parents are scientists. Esoter was led, uh, sorry, Esoter's parents were led to baby Esotera just at the moment her biological mother was committing seppuku by the unseen hand, and then they have the inside track to adopt Esotera and make her own. Esotera, of course, is the most gifted child ever because she will have Doctor Strange like abilities, although it will not be mysticism, it will actually be science that we will come to find. But no, we're going to go over the Q Druids one by one. There are going to be couples that. Um, that all have a specialty in quantum science. Uh, Kurt, you do have to be on the lookout, though. Some of that page, that Q Druid page, might be stuff that you posted already, because
All right.
I took the letter written by Dr. Tara, Esoter's mom, and I just repeated it in there because that's where it belongs.
Okay.
But yeah, they're going to be these advanced quantum scientists in an age where science becomes secretive, and their work is classified by the U.S. government, and they are all shipped off to a secret compound. They're told they can't work in the university anymore because their knowledge is compromised, and they have to go work in the forest in a secret compound. But they're working with like super colliders and everything, and what they're all going to be doing is developing different nutrition for the world. They're going to be unlocking the secrets of thermodynamics and quantum interaction, the secrets of magnetism, electricity, the secrets of time elapsing, and quantum dynamics. And spoiler alert, they're all going to get assassinated by the Dehubertons and or the Dehuberton trigger guys. And Esoterra is going to come to find that after she's estranged from her parents for a while, Esoterra is going to visit with Hellclaw and Chromita at the parents' compound when they have to go actually find a place to hide out that's safe. And when they get there, they find out everybody's hanging from trees, and everyone and all their labs are just annihilated. So it's going to be a scene. It's going to be a austere scene of terrible tragedy and bittersweet emotions for Esoterra, who had a falling out with her parents, and then she runs off to be this kind of super rescuer, and never gets to speak to her parents alive again. So a lot coming up in the storyline with the Q Druids, and I'm happy to take any questions. Um, Not just Kurt, but if anybody has any questions about this line of thinking and this this storyline, it's
Yeah.
it's
So as a segment, Jake,
yeah.
in us doing better, um, like right now we have 3 viewers in our YouTube.
Uh-huh.
So I've just said hello everybody in the comments. So yeah, as you just said, if you're with us live and you make a comment or ask a question, I will throw that at Jake. But we're going to try to stop ever so often, just kind of take a glance at the comments section and answer anything. So just want to thank those 3 that have showed up this morning, and hope you're all well.
Right, and we don't say it enough, but to all our friends on Instagram, you can find us on Instagram, but go click over to YouTube because you're only seeing a portion of our screens. If you want to see the full Monty, you can see a lot more of what Kurt's doing and a lot more of what I'm doing right over on our YouTube channel instead. And we also invite people. Don't look for a link or anything. Just put Turbo Pit Fighter in Google, right? That always helps.
Yeah.
And
Our
you know,
home is here on YouTube as a channel, so um, that is the best way to find us.
I was on my TV the other day, and I put a T into the search field, and Turbo Pit Fighter popped right up into the what do you call it, Smart Seek or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's because I had it cached, but um, we want to make Turbo eventually a household name, just like Howard the Duck.
You're right. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I got some show and tell today for Kurt. I did go back to school on Friday. I was out of school for 3 days this week, and one of those days was Lunar New Year, so I was lucky. It was a holiday, but I took off Tuesday because I was sick, and Thursday because I was sick. Go back on Friday because we have a field trip, and I had to go in. I probably would have went in anyway, but I had to go in because I was the one that organized the whole field trip. And we were taking 20 kids to the Bronx Museum of the Arts, or the Bronx
Oh
Museum of
wow.
Art. Yeah, that's located on the
Great
grind.
too.
What's
Great.
that?
I mean, excuse me. Great museum. Sorry. Yes.
Yes, it is a great museum that's under construction right now. Actually,
Oh.
they're under demolition right now, but the part that's open is like the new part, and there was this old part, and believe it or not, they used to have Comic Cons in there. I once
Yeah.
tabled at a Comic Con in there. That was very cool. So that's all being rebuilt, and it's exciting news
Wow.
because they have a schedule of spring 2026 to reopen the whole new facility, and that's going to be exhibit space and I guess like some gathering space, community space. They have lots of like family day things there and all these kind of like auctions and things at the Bronx Museum of Art. But they're also going to have freaking parking. They're going to have this like
What?
elevated parking lot. Yes. And the parking is going to be included with an admission. So that's great news because
Ooh.
if anybody's following the news, you find out that Manhattan is getting more and more off limits to people with cars, and so it's good to find an attraction in the Bronx that is thinking about this, and they're planning for parking. So that's cool. Anyway, the exhibit that we went to see was a graffiti exhibit, and Bronx Museum is like the king of graffiti exhibits because they've been open for decades and they've been embracing graffiti art for decades.
They had a
So there,
huge. They had a huge. It's one of my biggest regrets is that Jean Michel Basquiat retrospect they had.
oh man, yeah, can you
It was
imagine? Well,
ridiculous.
that
I'd
was
seen a catalog of it, and it was just everything under the sun, stuff that had never been shown before, and it was just, oh, I just kicked myself every time I think about
and
it.
was that at the Bronx Museum because that must have been way before Basquiat became so expensive.
Gosh, I can't remember. Over 10 years ago,
Yeah, all right, might have been.
something like that.
I'm sure they embraced him. In this case, the exhibition was called Breaking Out, and the artist is goes by Futura 2000, and I'm gonna show you guys. Um, he Futura 2000 was one of the original graffiti guys that was tagging up on the trains, and then he started doing colorful murals on the trains. We're talking like 70s, not 80s. Like I got into it in the 80s, but um He he's a New York City kid. His real name is Lenny McGurr, and he was a bike messenger just like me. You know he was a graphic artist later in life, but he's still around. He's in his 70s now. He was born in 1955. But I'm going to show you just a quick flip through. Here's like some of his graphic design work. This is he has this like iconography thing.
Yeah.
He's been an exhibiting artist for a long time. He was one. Here's a picture of him now. Nowadays, that's him right there. He was one of the artists that was invited in the very first graffiti exhibition on canvas in 1980. And there was a canvas there. We also got some free stickers. All my students got free stickers. Um, and so these are some of his canvases here. He does like abstract, paint stuff, a lot of stenciling, but a lot of spray can, a lot of marker, a lot of regular paint. Here he has this character he called Point Man, and he's been making these characters out of I think they're computer designed.
They were used. They were used by a band. Their first cover art for Uncle, which is James Lavelle and DJ Shadow's
Yep.
group project. I used to love that cover, and I do know who he is because I did
Well,
track him down.
he had a range of album covers that he had done over the years, and it started out with the Clash when Joe Strummer of the Clash took Futura under his wing and brought him on tour. He would do live murals painting while the Clash was playing their show, and he would be like painting live in the background. And he also designed a lot of like background art that was used in a lot of different rap albums that we saw on display too. And he also put out his own album. I guess it's rappy stuff, but it was produced by the Clash. So he was very good friends with the band, going way back. And so this is his album, which I bought, and they have them on sale in the gift shop for $70. So then you're like, whoa, that's pretty steep. Jake, why did you dig in so deep for that? And the answer why I dug in so deep for that is that there was a couple of editions left that were signed.
Oh,
This
shit.
this is printed right here. This is how the book comes. This is hand signed with a marker.
Man, look at that flow. Look at that flow.
So being the end, Futura is very open about the fact that he's not going to live forever, and he told all these people that are getting his autographed albums, don't sell them till I'm gone. And that's probably a smart idea. So I'm holding on to this. But this is the Futura 2000. Now, Kurt, I think we all need a book like this. We all need, even if we just print one copy, we all need to make a book like this, And here he's got a lot of his different eras of his different styles. But I'm glad if I could take you guys on a free tour, so that you don't have to go all the way to the Bronx and see this exhibit. The exhibit closes pretty soon. I think it closes in March. But not to worry, there's another graffiti exhibit in New York City, and we have a field trip scheduled. It's going to be at the Museum of the City of New York, and it's going to be the collection of some famous collector. I don't know. He had an Asian name. I'll find it out. But we're going to see that exhibit. And now, Museum of City of New York, people might not know, but that's all the way up on Fifth Avenue on Museum Mile, and I think it's like 103rd Street. And even though my school is a Title I school, which means we serve mostly poor kids, um, we're gonna have to pay $175 to tour the exhibit just for 2 hours. So the Museum of City of New York is not very cheap. I think if someone's just going there on their own, I think it's like $30 to get in or something like that.
Wow. Wow.
But we are going to be seeing an exhibit that's on display now called um, Above Ground Art from the Martin Wong Graffiti Collection. And his collection includes Futura and everybody else. And he's been collecting since he has 300 works on canvas and paper. And he's got some of the most famous original graffiti artists, including Futura 2000, Lady Pink, Lee Canonis, Ram LZ. I'm sure he's got my favorites. Some of my favorites are Zephyr and Revolt and um, Rasta. I don't know if he's got Rasta, but we'll see. And it's an interesting thing, graffiti art, because it's worthless to so many people. They're not into the aesthetic of it. And then some people are actually been quietly collecting it for 30 years now. And when Futura 2000 had, as part of their opening, and the Bronx Museum, they had an auction. And they were like, it's $100 just to get in the auction. Forget about bidding on something. So I was really curious how much a Futura canvas sells for, and I noticed that the canvases that were hanging up in the exhibit, they say courtesy of and then the owner's name, and the owner to a couple of the canvases was Cause, Kaws.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that guy's really savvy, because he's collecting these storied names, and they're appreciating. And he probably paid, probably just in the thousands, if not just in the hundreds, for them, and they're going to 10x, if not 100x, like Jean Michel Basquiat, whoever like sold his painting for $110 million, set the new record for American art. And and a New York artist, and Caribbean artist, and everything. um but you never know where these things are going to go, so it's kind of a gamble, as these guys buy this stuff and hold on to it. But I sold a couple of pieces out of my graffiti collection, when I was doing street signs. I was selling some street signs. I used to collect street signs that would fell down, and some of them had graffiti on them, like real authentic graffiti, and I sold it like a fool for $50 at the time. Now it's probably worth $500, and one day in the future could be worth 5,000, because it is an art form that is being studied now, and these are the first people to ever do it in the Bronx and in Upper Manhattan. And I didn't have the foresight to think about that. So yeah, looking forward to going to see the Martin Wong collection. There's a graffiti exhibit at the Museum of the City of New York. I'm not going on for a couple of weeks, but I'll report back and see what they have there, as we get another generation of kids into graffiti art.
Yeah, it's funny because when I was courting my wife, we were down in Wilmington at a bar sitting outside, and a really nice part of Wilmington called Trolley Square. And we were just sitting there, we're having a great time, drinks, just chatting each other up. And all of a sudden, just across the street was a trail, a train tracks. So a train starts coming, pulling through, and it's a boxcar train set. And of course, it's just all of it's tagged. So my brain goes directly to it, and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god. And I was probably even ignoring my, soon to be wife.
Right.
because I get so mesmerized with the aesthetic of graffiti, and the layering and the texture. I mean, it's just all such an amazing art form. And so I just start talking out of my ass, and I don't hear anything response from her. And I look at her, and she's got dagger in her eyes, and I'm like, not a fan of graffiti art. And she's like, it's not art.
Right.
I was like,
It's vandalism.
oh shit. Well, I'm gonna have to disagree with you there, dear. And we always have the same kind of argument. Her favorite art form is architecture.
Right.
So she loves, and she was actually, in New York for almost 12 years, and so and so. So architecture is a thing. So her issue with graffiti is that it
It's,
it is illegally placed upon somebody else's art. And I was like, whoa, what a position to take. And she's no like fool, about architecture and land rights, so man. And luckily for me, us, we both knew how to throw it down, and then be able to step away and not take it so personally. But yeah, that's
yeah, well, architecture is it's right. Graffiti is the enemy because you're bespoiling somebody. I mean, imagine if you build a building out of like granite, like rare stone or something like that, and then some kid comes along and spray cans all over it, Papa 183, and now you might have to spend literally thousands of dollars to get that off. Um, or if it's an antique building, or like a preserved building or something like that, where it's also very expensive to do any construction or restorations. So I understand that, but I also did my master's thesis on the origins of graffiti, and for anybody that didn't grow up in the inner city, or New York City area or Philly area, whatever. It was a reaction to urban blight and the fact that there was no cops around, and they were like proving the point, saying, look, if somebody is getting like murdered or raped or kidnapped, and we can't get a cop here for that, then we might as well just write our names all over everything. It was also, a reaction to the advertising that was forced into the neighborhoods,
yeah,
right? Because you had no shortage of Newport ads and Colt 45 ads
yeah,
on the billboards in these neighborhoods, and that was perfectly legal. And that was messaging that was not very wholesome for the community. But, meanwhile, if some kids wanted to make a rainbow mural with flowers and self portraits, they get arrested, right? So there was all these kind of like questions about whose space is it, whose public space is it, like reclaiming public space. And that was an argument that was bubbling up from 69, when Puerto Rico was going through this kind of like independence movement, and and people were wheat pasting all these like signs up, like support Puerto Rico's independence, Yankee go home, and those were being like plastered all over the city. Then from like 70 to 71, 72, 74, kids start getting their hands on spray paint, and they start playing around with the artistic possibilities, and they start making bubble letters and block letters and polka dots and patterns and 3D and all that. And then it becomes a competition to see who could make their names the most fancy.
yeah,
And then graffiti art takes off, like probably starts getting real serious like mid 70s all the way up to about 80, 81, 82. That's when the style had really emerged. And it was the one of the things that they say, if if you're an art history buff, is that it is one of, if not the only style of art that is created by youth, created by young people, and as opposed to being a style created by experienced practitioners and handed down. This was handed up. It was handed up by kids, and it went from the older kids to the younger kids. All the different conventions of graffiti, and now it's undeniably international, worldwide, every country. There's a common visual language, and we don't talk about it very much here on this sci-fi comic podcast.
Well,
But
one of my claims to fame is I'm always interested in like graffiti. I just have a lot of like art topics I like exploring and diving into, like documentary wise and stuff. Years ago, like 7 years ago or something. No, even probably longer than that. And I was working in Philadelphia as a manager at Trader Joe's, and I was really into graffiti. And I had a group of employees who were bombers, Philly
yeah,
bombers, and so I'd always kind of banter back and forth with them and shit. So I watched, like, literally like 2 days prior to this day, I watched the history documentary on one of them. I mean, there's probably 7,000 of them now, but this was a really well done. And for Philly, this supposedly Cornbread is the
yep,
first guy
yep,
to tag in Philly and everything.
yep.
And so, I'm making my rounds and moving around the store, and I see this gentleman, and I'm like, man, because his face was so fresh in my mind because it was a very recent interview, and I'm looking at this guy, and I was like, that could be Cornbread.
Right.
So I'm like, wow, ain't gonna kill me. So I go up, hey sir, how you doing today? He's like, oh, good, good, good. He's like, what's up? And I'm like, no, I'm just asking to see if I can help you find anything. What's going on? And he's like, oh, I'm looking for something. Oh yeah, I'll show you. Come on with me. So we head over there, and I find the product for him, and I hand it to him. And as I'm handing it to him, I was like, I hope this isn't, an off-putting question. I just really need to ask. You know,
Are you
would you happen to
cornbread?
be, I go, would you happen to be Cornbread? And his eyes they get really big. And he goes, you're like one of the first and only white people to,
Uh,
white guy to recognize me. He's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, oh, I just saw you on a documentary and everything. He's like, really? He's like, what you? So we just start talking like we were the best friends in the world.
and you
And
got
then,
and you got him to
and
tag something for you.
no, I didn't. So,
Oh,
but I said, um, what did I say? Oh, I don't know. I just, I had to get going because, I can't stand around all day talking to people, I'm gonna lose my job. He's like, nah, man, I understand. He's like, oh man, it's really cool. It's really cool meeting you, man. Thanks for asking and everything. But I was like, all right, man, you take care of yourself. So he gets he gets going, and two of the bombers they come around the corner and they're like, what the? He's like, do you know him? And I'm like, yeah, I know. They're like, how did you just go up and talk to him like that? I was like, he's just a guy, and but yeah, we talked all the time. He'd come in and be like, hey Kurt, how's it going? I'm like, hey Corbin, what's going on?
well, yeah. Cornbread was an original, and Cornbread is probably singularly responsible for this friendly feud that's going on about where graffiti first originated.
Yeah.
But it would have been before his time anyway. I would imagine, because I have a book from 70. I have a photography book of graffiti from 71, and I don't think Cornbread was doing anything in 71. So everyone says it started in Upper Manhattan and the Bronx, and it was Taki 183, the little Greek kid. But there was some going on in Philly, and it's not deniable. But the timing is the question, and everybody wants credit. I mean, there's no way that Philly gets close to the size of the movement in New York City. Either way,
it was also gang related too, if I remember. It was like tagging territory. So
yeah. Well,
it was.
there was a lot of that in the early days, but then it just became about making your own celebrity,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I was talking to one of the guys at the museum. He was a graffiti guy. He used to write Juke, and everybody had their own kind of persona, because you could be like a 4 foot tall little kid and nobody pays any attention to you. Meanwhile, and everybody's on the trains asking, oh, who's Astro, or who's Metro, and then, there's all these personas that it took on, and then everybody wanted to meet you, because if you were very prevalent around the city, they would say you were all city, and you own the line, like you own the 4 line or the 5 line or whatever. And me and my friends, we were scratchers. We were just motion taggers around the 1 and 9 mostly, but we did go to the layups a couple of times, and we got over on the layups a couple of times, which means you're riding on the trains while they're parked overnight. But it was risky, and I did get caught. I did get arrested. There were lessons to learn, about safety, about the third rail,
Yeah,
stuff like that. But it was definitely baptism by fire, growing up in New York City, and for anybody that's a graffiti person, I used to write Venom in 1981, and nothing to do with Spider-Man. It was before all that kind of stuff. And I used to go around with a crew called TJB, the Juvenile Banditos, and we were like nobody, and we were just local to ourselves and everything. But uh, I had a pal he was a little more notable. He used to write Prank, and then he used to write Prankster, and then he used to write Indus. And he got into a couple of crews that were like, more than outside of our neighborhood. And, you had to be down with the crew, and you had to be cool with the guy and everything. But, he didn't really stay with art in his life. So, I doubt that, any of the big names that end up being like collectible coffee book guys, they were all part of the scene that was ahead of us. And I would say Zephyr and Rasta and Revolt. Revolt is actually, I think he became a art director at Viacom, and he is on Instagram right now as Dr. Revolt, Dr. Revolt, and he's one of the best ever too. And
so we got a question from Jason on YouTube. Do you think that the cartooning of Von Baudet was as influential to graffiti artists as some insist?
Yeah, of course. I teach Von Baudet in my graffiti unit about b-boys. B-boys are the break dancers, that the little characters that accompany the letters. And Von Baudet, he had a great bubble letter style. If you notice in his comics, and he used for like Cheech Wizard and Sun Pod and all of his titles and Cobalt, he used this great bubble letter style. But he didn't really go into the abstraction of letters. That was the kids that did that. Oh, but the kids fell in love with his lizard character. And sometimes they drew Cheech Wizard himself. I think in the famous Henry Chalfant photography book, somebody, I think, what's his name, Scene, I think, or Revolt, one of those guys did a Cheech Wizard, but it was the lizard. They all drew the lizard. Everybody was taking these characters out of the comic strips. You would see everybody, Beetle Bailey, and you would see Hagar the Horrible, and everybody wanted to be the first to do a piece on the outside of a train in color with spray cans, and have one of these vibrant cartoon characters on there to accompany it, because they really, really capture people's eye. Little kids would be like, "Oh my God, I recognize that," and then it would be a very good chance of getting you photographed, getting your piece photographed. So, Don D Don D White was pretty famous for taking the characters right out of the newspaper strips. And somebody, I don't know who did it first, had a Cheech Wizard comic and took the lizard and put it up there, and that became a motif that everybody had to learn and copy. And if you couldn't do the lizard, you were nobody, and you had to really practice. And there's plenty of black books that have people doing the lizard in there. And Vaughn Baudet, I don't think he had any idea that that he was kind of like an underground sensation in New York graffiti scene, but he was. And I think he might have already been dead by then. Do you know
Yeah.
what year he killed himself?
Whew. Oh, jeez.
No,
Can't
yeah,
think of it.
because
Not off the top of my head.
I think it might be early. I think it might be early, but yeah, there's no doubt about it. And
75.
really,
Yeah.
so it
Jeez.
was, yeah.
July
So
1875
he was
in
already
San
dead.
Francisco.
Yeah,
He died in San Francisco.
he was already dead by the time this all started. Because I want to say this all started in the late '70s, and it was big by the '80s. The Cheech Wizard lizard, but he was definitely a huge influence. And the other influence was just the older kids, and that's why Futura was different. He was written up in this show. He was the first one that did like a full car top to bottom of just like blends of colors of spray cans, and it didn't even put his name on it. And nobody else did that before. Nobody else was thinking of it like a canvas like that. And there was the soup cans. Fab Five Freddy did the soup cans, and that was documented well in the books, in the 1984 book, Subway Art. But um, the idea of bringing art, and making it conceptual as opposed to just making your name the coolest. That I think the reason why one of the most famous documentaries is called Style Wars is because it was just everybody trying to outdo each other, and who could make the most abstracted letters and still be readable, and but not for like average people.
Yep.
And how fun it was. There was the risk taking, and but yeah, the abstraction of letters, that was the big thing. And the interplay with comics, that was always interesting too.
All right. Well, where are we right now in timing? Just as curiosity goes.
So I had that I wanted to bring to your attention. I have something else. We're gonna do a little media segment
45
here.
minutes. Oh,
But
yes.
Kurt, question.
Yes.
All right, I have this old drawer. Some of the stuff might date back to my dad. But now I have these leads, these pencil leads,
Yeah.
and it's pretty easy enough to just slip these into a mechanical pencil. But
Yeah.
I don't know what F15 means, because it looks thicker than any mechanical. Like if you buy a mechanical pencil now, they look like this, and they come 0.5, 0.7, 0.9, usually in in most stores. Some of these leads are thicker, and I have these, this is really confusing me, because this says 6 sticks of lead, 0.046 diameter, and they're 4 inches long. These things are hella wide, and I don't have anything that fits this. Do you have anything that could fit this?
No, I don't have any of that kind of stuff anymore. And most definitely, that could be um, electrical engineering drawing. Led
Yeah,
for
that's
for
what my
that because
dad
there was
was.
so many okay, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, that does totally make because I did architectural design. I actually worked um, for a summer translating railroad signal designs to digitally, a
Uh-huh.
digital transfer type of thing and stuff. We didn't use we had to actually plot and map it in CAD and everything, but I do remember there still being a lot of that equipment around, and it was very different than architectural design for
Look at
buildings and
this.
such that I did in high school.
Look at this red.
Excuse me.
Um, this is in
Yeah,
red.
see that's definitely electrical engineering.
So this would be great if I could find a holder for
Get on
this.
eBay. Get on eBay
I
and
was
put the
looking on
name
eBay.
of
I couldn't find anything
right.
because it doesn't
Nothing.
say
Oh
what's what.
wow,
Look at
wow.
this. It
That's
doesn't
wild.
say what the thickness is. It just says, look,
Find the. I mean, I'm sure the brand of lead would have
I gotta
a
find, yeah, I gotta
holder.
find a website that specializes in the old stuff because these are definitely thicker. I'm just visually seeing these are much thicker than point .9. These are probably 1 point something, and and I would love to use them up. Or I mean, I'm sure they're I could just throw them out and not worry about it. But another thing is, I used to buy these in light blue. Um, and I can't seem to find them too much anymore. I haven't looked in a while, but it. Oh, and these are Exacto blades. But you know, it's great to do your blue line first because then you could do a regular pencil right over it. You have two bites at the apple. You know, and I was just working on that tableau upstairs for the end of the world timeline. I'm making all the characters. Oh man, you're gonna love it, Kurt. It's like it starts out in the upper left with Shankra versus the Peabots. Then it goes to the Secret Chronicles of the Duke. Then there's like a wide one, and it's got the casualties featuring Esoterra, Hellclaw, and Chromita. Then on the bottom line, it has the Quantum Druids, and it says, Quantum Druids, when science goes secret. Then you have who's next? There's the sentient. Oh, then you have Elevena on the bottom row. It's going to be the Q Druids. It's going to be Elevena. Then it's going to be the Sentients, and then it's going to be Turbo. So this thing is going to be great, and it's going to really like pull it all together and and explain a lot. But it's also, it's also going to be like for an artist that wants to collab, I'm like, hey, look, here's a tableau. Would you like to work on any of these, characters? Because there's going to be so many episodes for each of them. And I understand the Quantum Druids is going to be more for pros because there's not a lot of like excitement when people are just like inventing scientific stuff. But I don't know. You never know. Somebody might be interested in that, enjoying that. But that we're going to have a mix of 6-pager scripts that are going to be available, and then it's going to tie right into this whole world that's on Substack. I say it's on Substack. That's just where we're releasing installments, but the whole thing, the whole storylines are going to live on hellclaw.com, where you could read the entire thing. So there's all that. And I am working on that because I'm submitting for a MoMA exhibit. Believe it or not, the New York City art educators have a show coming up in some room of the MoMA. I don't know. I doubt it's going to be the main gallery. This is probably going to be like their education center or something off to the side. But I get to submit. Yes, by the 6th, I'm going to be submitting. Any New York City art teacher, public school art teacher, can submit by February 6th, which is just days away. And they'll approve what they approve, and then it has to be on display. It's going to be on display for like a month and a half in the MoMA. So I don't care if it's in the bathroom. I was like, I'm gonna go during the opening, and I'm gonna, puff my chest out and say I'm exhibiting at the moment. But asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. But I have to get accepted, so I'm working hard, and I hope that they pick that piece because I'm just gonna submit that, and then two other framed items that I'm just have sitting around. But um, that's the other thing that I'm working on right now. How are we doing on time?
Oh, we just ran over 50 minutes, and we're good. We have actually, no, we do need to start wrapping up. No, good call. Because we have an interview with a gentleman by the name of Alec Calfee.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be our first, I believe, our first for the year of 2025. So we'll have the Indie Creator Exchange for there. Also, I can't forget. I went down to see Dan Snoke, and we did some
How is Dan?
running around. He's doing good, doing well. And he found this at Atomic Books and said, "You need to buy this for your buddy Jake." And at first I said, "Oh, I don't know," and then it just kept itching at me. But this is every post-apocalyptic movie.
Oh,
Ever
yeah.
made. It was in
Wow.
the discount bid, so I'm gonna bring this up to IC3 and hand it off to you on March 15th.
Thank you for the loan.
But this is a good man, like Steel Dawn. Ooh, baby.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure there's some real dogs in there. I mean,
Come on.
I've seen them myself. What year does that come out?
This is second edition, and copyright 2024.
Wow. Oh, so it's
this is
up
super new.
Wow, up to the minute.
Yeah. So
Nice. I saw a post-apocalyptic. Well, actually, I started it, but I stopped it. And for folks that are on Amazon Prime, I think this is on Netflix too. But people should be watching Secret Level. It's really good. This great sci-fi. It's all a lot of it's 3D animated. I haven't seen any 2D. But it's all very creative stuff and little episodes. Everyone should watch Secret Level. If you liked Love, Death, and Robots, then it's the same people. So go ahead and check out Secret Level, new season.
Also, I got so I bought those. God damn it!
You okay? You're fighting yourself there?
Yeah,
look what you got.
I did. I got these things are these are an answer to my prayers. So
they're amazing. I don't know how they do it.
I don't either. These are brushes. This is a brush,
but it's a paint marker
of paint all the time.
It's like a brush paint marker.
There's another company that does a set. I'm gonna get to.
How much did you get them for?
I got these for $17.99 on Amazon, next day shipping. So
wow, that's cheap.
So that's what I'm talking about.
Great deal. Well, tell people what they're called, for God's sakes. These are
it's the Sharpie, but they call them creative markers. So it's not a paint marker per se, but it does all the covering, like the way it covers. I had a little sample.
This is the colors. Right here. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8.
There is a larger set too. I think a 32 set as well.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. Yep.
You got the 12 pack?
No, I got a 12 pack. Yeah. I just wanted to make sure, because one of the nice things too about Amazon is if you don't like it, you can send it right back and get your money back. So I just got to go down to the.
Those markers are something else, and I
can't wait.
I have to find projects to work on to use them because one thing you never know with when a new marker comes out is how long they last on the shelf. You got to always be careful.
Way back at the beginning, I had started working on a color, like a design thing. It was like basically I did a black plate and a color plate of Turbo, and then I combined them in home printing. So I printed the color plate and then fed the paper back in, and then things. So this was something. So this was some stuff that I had sitting around that I think I'm going to try to do some attacking on with not only with those paintbrush pens, but I have a bunch of other like instruments I've been wanting to make some groovy coloring and going. So we might see something, but I've got so many other things on the
well, it's
roster.
A cool new tool to have in the tool belt, but you got to also use them in time, because if you let them sit, you might open them up one day and find out that they're not working anymore.
Yeah. So look, let's close this episode down. I want to thank everybody for joining us, since we did have a week off from illness. But Jake and I, March 15th. Southern Connecticut State University Indie Comics Creator Con, also known as IC3. Only one day on a Saturday. Jake and I will both be there, and we'll be selling comics, not only our own, but used comics. Jake's going to be bringing some used comics. I have
$1 $1
so very much getting ready for that. And then we have two more indie creator exchanges, Jeff Moss, and then I just got this. This has been out almost like overdue. I've been following Gorka for a while. He is in Paris. This is called the French Ninja, which is based on a true story, and I can't wait to get that this going on. So yeah, he's a great. This is going to be a great. All of our interviews are great, but this is because I'm a ninja file. This is going to be even closer to the bone. But Jeff Moss is just this story is just extraordinary. I just finished reading this last night. So well written, so well crafted as a graphic novel in the most traditional senses. So look forward to these interviews of other creators coming in the future, and yeah, that's all I got.
Great. We're gonna go tape our first interview of the year, folks. That's good. And if you're interested, if you're making comics, send us a line. We're always on the lookout for other creators of our ilk, and we're going to be meeting a lot of them at the IC3. Obviously, I was watching Matt Sardo's podcast the other day. I noticed that he mentions that they were acquired by the comic art fans family now, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so they were plugging the new comic art fans app, which I downloaded. So I haven't really played with it too much, but if you're a comic artist, you can create your own membership and identity and post art and put it up online, and maybe someone will even see it.
Yeah.
So all that's going on, and we'll see you guys next week right here live on Sunday on YouTube and Instagram, but YouTube is the best place to catch us. During the week, you can also check in on Doom Mags on Instagram, on Twitter, and Substack, and you can sign up for free sci-fi writing on the mailing list.
Cool. I will see you next Sunday, Jake.
All right, my friend. Later.
All right, I got to pee. This thing. Damn, you're already uploaded. Nice.
Fucking cold up here, man. Holy shit.